Hi, and welcome to part 3 of PLMA's special report, Recession and Recovery. What's ahead for store brands? Now, some business analysts believe that retailing itself will probably be irrevocably changed by the current recession. And many are looking at 2010 and beyond, trying to figure out who will be the ultimate winners and who are going to be the losers. Today, PLMA President Brian Sheroff is with me with some real insights about retail history.
Well, you know, anytime you come to a major economic crisis, there are going to be ramifications for the retail industry. And especially it's important because retailing in the United States is in a state of transition. There was a time, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, excuse me, when you could, describe retailing as the supermarket channel, the drug chain channel, and the mass merchandiser channel. And that just doesn't exist anymore. They've all been fused together. They all are selling similar or the same products. The consumer has so many different choices and formats. So retailing is in transition. The recession is accelerating the transition, perhaps. And I think it's definitely something that everyone in the industry is going to be watching to see how does it change over the next 2 years, 10 years, or whatever it may be.
Well, at the end of the show, we're going to address that and a few other things. But for now, one person with a view of these changes that the recession has wrought upon us is our own guru, Michael Sansolo. Now, Michael, what does your crystal ball say?
You know, it's interesting what we see going on with consumers this year. With all of this economic pressure, there's a phrase that's getting bandied about quite a bit, and it's the new frugality. And really what we don't know is, are consumers changing permanently, or is this something temporary? That with the economic situation, with the worries that they have, they're looking for ways to save money, to go back to old values, to be a little bit more frugal. This is something that's going to play out over time. But what we do know now is that there are companies who are finding a way to market and communicate very clear messages on new value and recognizing consumer anxiety. And if we look at a couple of these, and some of them from far, far away from retail, we get some great lessons into how we can proceed. The first company I think we should look at is Hyundai. Hyundai is a car company. They make small cars out of Korea, but they have done something remarkable in the last year. Now, when you think about the automotive industry, everybody has struggled over the last year, actually over the last 18 months. Sales have declined by, for some companies, 30, 40, 50%. Hyundai's sales grew. And they grew in large part because of a marketing campaign called Assurance. What Hyundai said with this ad campaign is, if you buy a car from us and for some reason you can't keep it, you've become sick, you've been transferred out of the country, or most importantly, you lost your job, we'll take it back. By doing that, they gave the customer confidence that I can buy a car without being on the hook for it if I lose my job. Brilliant campaign. Likewise, I'm a big fan of Southwest Airlines. They have always clearly communicated value, and it's a great experience when you fly on that airline. It's a kind of quirky, offbeat airline. What they've done over the last year is they've emphasized a new form of value. As every other airline has added costs for you checking luggage, Southwest has mocked that. In fact, they have baggage handlers in their commercials singing songs to the baggage they're putting on the plane, reminding you that when you fly Southwest, your baggage flies free. We're not going to hit you up for a charge. It deals with this notion of additional value, and again, it helps the customer. The third company we have to keep an eye on, and always someone who does great in tough economic times, is McDonald's. But McDonald's has done especially well, opposed to all the other restaurants, by doing a two-tier strategy for this economic period. First, they've put great emphasis on their dollar menu. And the dollar menu has things like a chicken sandwich, small fries, a drink, cost $1 each. And McDonald's keeps reinforcing that point that you come in, for $1, you get good food from us. But here's the other thing they did. They know that people don't only want cheap. It's food. They want it to taste good. So they came out with 2 upscale products. They came out with a better cup of coffee, McCafe. And their point is, you're spending more, but you're not spending as much as others will charge. and they came out with a better burger, the Angus burger. More meat, better bun, better condiments. To make the point to their shopper, we get it. You're worried. You want value, but value doesn't only mean cheap. Well, retail can learn from these lessons, and there are examples of retailers who are doing a great job. One of my favorites is Wegmans, widely seen as possibly the best food retailer in the United States. Wegmans has done something remarkable through this economic period. You can find this on their website or in their stores. When you go into Wegmans, they market their meals by a per serving cost. So someone coming in can see this wonderful prepared food they have at Wegmans, and the sign reminds them it's only $6 per person. Wegmans is saying, you want good food, you want good pricing, we're giving you both. New frugality, new value, these are big challenges for a shopper who's really worried about the way things are going. But as we can see, there are companies out there who are finding a way to address these issues. Back to you, Jody.
Thank you so much, Michael. Now, to help identify the issues that will face retailers and manufacturers, we've asked a group of professionals who keep track of trends and future developments all the time, the trade press. We have three here today in the studio: David Orgel, who is editor-in-chief of Supermarket News; Don Longo, who's editorial director of Convenience Store News and Progressive Grocer; and Greg Jacobson, managing editor of MMR, Mass Merchandise Retailers. Now, we're going to look at the year ahead, and I'd love to ask you guys, what do you see as retailing's most important issues that they have to deal with?
Well, I think the economy is by far the biggest issue still, and the big question there is what consumer spending will be like going forward, and whether or not the whole pattern of trading down will continue. I think for the supermarket side, another top issue is the continuing, and actually for all sides, the continuing battle between all of the different formats of retail, from supermarkets to supercenters to drug, and where that's all going to play out.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
You want to say something?
Regardless of what of the economy, there are three really major trends that I think are going to be with us regardless, and
Okay.
the retailers are reacting to those trends, and that would be convenience. Consumers will gravitate to stores and brands that offer the convenience, whether it's the product or the location.
Mm-hmm.
Health and wellness. As much as people want to cut back on spending, they continue to say they want products that are better for their family and are healthier products. And also you also factor in the issue of food safety into the health and wellness.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then the third trend, which retailers really have no control over, but they have to react to, is the changing demographics of the country. The nation is getting very much older, older than it's ever been. And,
Except for us.
Except for us.
We're staying the same.
But yeah, in less than a decade, the population profile of the United States will be about the same as the population profile of Florida today. So that has all kinds of implications with an older customer base, and how do you serve that customer base, and also on consumer spending.
Well, let me ask you this then. Does that mean that the retailers are kind of going to ignore the younger generation?
I don't think it's a matter of ignoring the younger generation. I think it's a matter of how do I continue to get the aging baby boomer who's under tremendous pressure. Remember, they've just lost half the value of their homes
and half their hair,
half their 401k,
yeah, right.
and half their hair. How do you continue to get their business while at the same time reaching this younger generation, which is very different from the previous, much more multicultural.
Right.
That's the only part of the population that is growing is multicultural households. The Caucasian white is flat or declining, and declining as a percentage of the total population.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to focus on a new customer.
And the new customer is definitely going to be that baby boomer, but you have to pay attention to the growing, demographic.
Young families,
right,
which
the young
are
families that are coming
multicultural, mostly Hispanic, but also Asians growing very, very rapidly also.